Welcome back. In this video, I'll be going over two concepts, the benefits of being fast, and then the ways to be a better predictive healer. So let's agree that exceptional reaction time is like a free head start, or in future versions of the game, like a whole bunch of free item budget toward haste rating. While you can use this advantage to compete with your co-healers, it's wiser to apply it toward the game itself. Because remember, the head start effectively reduces your total cast time, which is decision plus reaction plus client-server latency plus the spell's advertised cast time. And when your total cast time is reduced, because you're speedy, you can get away with using some slower spells, which the game conveniently rewards you by making those A, cost less, and B, hit harder. The numbers are something like 1.5 second casts have like 310 mana per second cost associated with them. 10% cheaper than that, at about 280, are those 2.5 and 3 second casts that Shaman and Priest and Druid cast. The healing per second on quick spells, 1.5 second spells, these all numbers are with talents, but not with any gear on, are probably around 800 healing per second. 20% better than that are the 2.5 and 3 second casts that are from Druids and Shaman and Priests. They're about 1,000 healing per second. So there you have a higher HPS while simultaneously lower MPS choice. Paladins get trickier with their holy lights because while a 2-second cast sounds like a great way to get healing per second, and it is, especially if your light's grace is lucky and you're stacking it, it gets really expensive if you don't crit. If you're not critting, that heal is costing you about 50% more than a priest's flash heal on a mana per second basis. So it's pricey. Those gaps widen more between fast and slow heals once you start putting some plus healing gear on. Blizzard decided that the slower they heal, the closer to 100% you benefit from your plus healing. So crudely speaking, that means if you add 100 plus healing to your gear, your fast spell will only be by about 50% more potent. Whereas 100 healing on your gear will make your healing wave like 85% or 85 more potent, or your renew or healing touch by all 100 potent. They fully benefit from the plus healing. To me, that explains a lot of the reasons why flash healers who stack plus healing to keep up actually tend to fall behind, since later phases of the game offer more plus healing in gear. Now, if you accept you're a flash healer for life, that's fine, but be sure to master two things, the first of which is use a collection of at least 3 lower rank flash heals. That way you can last the whole fight. And secondly, aim for no more than like 25% overhealing. If you can't accomplish both of those things, consider breaking the habit entirely, which I'll talk about in a future video on minigames. But before moving on, I will say one more thing about overhealing, since I don't have an upcoming video devoted to it, and that is, try measuring your overhealing nightly, spell by spell, not pull by pull. And when you do that, it's remarkable how similar the raw healing actually is between healers. Raw is overhealing plus effective healing. Despite the vast differences, the big differences in their effective healing. I don't think it's uncommon for a healer with the lowest effective healing of the night to actually be one of the top producers of raw healing. And the reason why is overhealing, overhealing, overhealing. That slightly slower healer who did all the right things and wore all the right gear just didn't get the heals to land for much of anything at all. Anywho, on to the next topic here, and these are ways to be a better predictive healer. So while fast healers tend to thrive in very chaotic and reactionary situations, there are ways to offset that. Using raid frames that support the healer comm library is one of them. Voodoo uses that, and so do many others. It basically tells you who is being healed and by how much, so that you can either change your spell selection or move on to healing someone else. Your raid frame should also support an aggro indicator, like when those pesky warlocks pull but don't soul shatter, because you've got about 1 second to land something on them before they're going to take a slap in the face. Also, consider lowering the refresh rate of your raid frames. If you can get it between 1 and 200 milliseconds, that's great, and that's basically the speed between the game doing a thing and your eyes being shown it. Lastly, your raid frames should allow custom debuff icons, so you know when to power word shield the hunter in the back who just got a debuff. Next, practice making more future choices, even if they're less accurate. Basically, your hand should know your next action, your arm should know the action after that, and your head should be deciding between the two things that'll be your third and fourth actions. Actions are, to me anyway, anything from casts to glancing at the UI for new information. For example, you might think to yourself, okay, when this heal is done, I'm going to refresh these hots and then either move behind the pillar or squeeze out one more shield. Something like that. Being able to expect incoming damage does take years. The internal conversations might eventually sound like, this guy is hurt, but he's got hots and in no real danger. The bad guy aggroed the rogue, who dodges a lot. I'm going to shield the rogue and just spam him with graders. It's an example. Fights like the Drakes in BWL are different. They have inevitable damage, which are the breaths, and unpredictable damage, which are the melee swings. Since you've got about a 50-50 chance of guessing the right tank that's going to pull, I would say you just blanket, shield everybody, and then hope you're right about half the time on your big casts. Other considerations to make are, what's the tank's gear and playstyle? Is he dual wielding this? Is his back to the mobs or not? Which cuts his avoidance to 0 and increases inbound damage tremendously. I show shield wall on my raid frames to know when it's okay to focus my attention elsewhere. There are also swing timer mods, which is like your internal clock that tells you when damage might arrive, but it doesn't consider things like strings of avoidance. Melding all that together just takes time. In summary, if you're fast, use more efficient spells, which are usually slower. Overheal less, adjust your raid frames to show important information, and start having an internal dialogue about what you do next, after next, after next.